Welcome back, Raiders. I wanted to cover this article by GamesRadar, published by Austin Woods, which goes over some potential balance changes to weapons, specifically epic weapons like the Bobcat and the Tempest, which I am really interested in. It's not a long article, so I'm going to go through the interview they did with Virgil Watkins, the design lead, and read you that. And then I want to go through some data very quickly and give my thoughts on where the Bobcat and Tempest kind of sit in the meta. I think there's a lot of smart people who have done some time to kill, have done damage calculators, and I think this kind of reinforces how I feel about the Bobcat and the Tempest and when they sit on the ladder of what weapons are good and what weapons are pretty average. Right, starting with the article, the title is "Cost Should Not Inherently Fill a Skill Gap. Arc Raiders dev admits we're definitely a bit off on some of the cost to benefit ratios for guns like the Bobcat and the Tempest, but says all weapons have to be usable." Many of the best Arc Raiders weapons, especially rare and epic guns, feel dramatically better once you upgrade them to level 3 or 4, and sometimes they still don't feel good, which can be a pricey endeavor even without factoring in ongoing repair costs, when rock-solid options like the Common Stitcher and the Uncommon Anvil are significantly cheaper to upgrade and maintain. It can feel hard to economically justify splurging for the good stuff, even though those guns are really fun to use. This is exactly where I'm at the moment. I really love the feel and the look of the Bobcat and the Tempest, but god damn, it is hard to justify all the effort that went into getting the blueprints, and then all the materials went into craft them, and then all the upgrading costs you use to get them to level 4. Many players have called popular guns like the Renegade, Venator, Tempest, and Bobcat untenable, expensive for weeks now, and it sounds like developer Embark Studios agrees the balance is skewed. Good. Design lead Virgil Watkins tells GamesRadar Plus that the original intent with weapon balancing was to make sure that any given weapon in capable hands should be capable of winning a fight if you're playing smartly. Even the worst weapons have to be good, otherwise the gunplay that's core to Arc Raiders will break down. Now, I do kind of agree with this. I mean, this has always been true of extraction shooters. I played Escape from Tarkov for years. You can go in with a pistol, and if someone doesn't have a face shield, you can one-tap them in the head. I mean, and then you can get all their loot. However, if you shoot them in the body armor, like, you're unlucky to penetrate their body armor depending on your armor pen, but you can still potentially win the fight in the right circumstances. If you've got worse gear, you're gonna have to work harder to win the fight, but it's still possible. I think this has to remain true, he continues, but I think we're definitely a bit off on some of the cost to benefit ratios. Certainly on those higher tier weapons, I was trying to follow a curve of, by spending more and more money, you're gaining an edge. Not a clear one, like I'm using a purple weapon, therefore I win this fight, period. We don't want that. Cost should not inherently fill a skill gap or a tactical awareness gap or things like that. Okay, I kind of agree with that, but you also need to get some advantage from taking the time to build your workstations to level 3, by taking the time to get blueprints for a Bobcat and a Tempest, or finding them, by taking the time to get the materials to craft them. And I think they understand this. Like, this is where the issue is. The edge you gain, if any, which is not really much at the moment, is not enough for how much effort it takes to get these things. We're looking at, as we keep going with some of the balancing, to probably make the cost benefit ratio feel a little better, certainly on the high end, because we do not want people to be, because we do want people to be excited to get a Tempest or a Bobcat or things like that. I think this is probably up there with one of my biggest issues with Arc Raiders. I don't get super excited for the loot. When I find a Bobcat and a Tempest, I'm like, oh, that's cool. And then I realize, well, I'm probably not going to use it. I'm going to use something else, because I almost feel like a disadvantage at using it. And it'll be really nice to feel some excitement when you find those weapons in raid or on a body. Yeah, if we are way undershooting how people feel about that, then that will take some adjustment. Yeah, I agree. Embark is open to wider changes to weapons as well. I asked if we might see guns go up or down in rarity, or have their crafting and upgrade materials adjusted to make them more affordable. Watkins says it could be both. That'd be interesting. If it comes to pass that, as an example I'm making up right now, we like the nature of what the Bobcat is, but it's performing at this bracket, then we can consider moving it up or down, and later on filling that niche with a different weapon, he reasons. I don't think we're precious about where they sit on that spectrum. So if it makes sense to buff it to live up to the implied potential, or if it makes sense to drop the rarity so it stays where it is because it's performing that role well, then we'll do that too. Okay. let me give you my thoughts on where the Bobcat and the Tempest sit and what might need to happen to them to make them feel a little bit better. I'll put some of these links down below so you can have a look. This is a damage calculator by, I think it's called Erotic. It's a YouTube channel. Very, very cool. It did a really great video on how actual damage mitigation works. And I'll leave some of these spreadsheets down below too. There is some discrepancy in the spreadsheets based on time to kill and how they measured fire rate and all this kind of stuff. But it does give a really good idea of why the Bobcat and Tempest are underperforming. Right. So this is tier 4 weapons on a light shield, and over here we have effective time to kill for the body and the head. If you don't know, there is a headshot multiplier. Headshot multipliers don't apply to the shield, but apply to the health pool itself. Look, if people really want me to go into that stuff later, I will, but most weapons are at ×2, some are at 2.5, some are at 2.25. For example, Renegade is 2.25, Stitcher, Kettle, Hairpin, Pharaoh are at 2.5, Rattler is at 2 times, Bobcat is at 2 times. There you go. Right, so time to kill on a light shield using a Bobcat hitting all body shots is 1.11 seconds, and the amount of shots to get that kill is 20. The magazine size is 20. So if you haven't put mods on it, which is unlikely if you have a level 4 Bobcat, but you need to hit 100% of the shots. Now, my thoughts on the Bobcat is I always run it at level 4. I always put the extended mag on it. The green extended mag, it's still not enough. It does not feel like it has enough in the magazine to really get you through encounters. You start missing shots, and then you need to do the reload, and your time to kill goes through the roof. I don't have the blueprint for the blue light extended mag, and I kind of feel like the Bobcat needs that right now, and I do think its biggest weakness is the magazine size. And you can really see this come to play once you change from light to medium to heavy shield. You'll watch the time to kill go through the roof because it starts to include you reloading the magazine. Just to show you this, right? So on a light shield, your time to kill is 1.11 seconds. If we compare that to the Torrente, it is slower than that. And that kind of makes sense, right? If someone barrel stuffs you with a Torrente, you are losing. Even if you have a Bobcat, it is worse than the Venator. So you're still losing to the Venator, hitting body shots. And that actually has more range than the Bobcat, in my opinion. You can fight at close and medium range with the Venator. You're not losing to Renegade, but Renegade is more of like a peeking, like pop out, take some shots, pop back into cover kind of deal. Osprey's not relevant right here. Toro, you are losing to the shotgun Toro, green Toro. You are winning against the Beretta. Congratulations. You are winning against the Arpeggio. Congratulations. You are winning against an Anvil. Well done. You should be winning against the Stitcher. Okay, you guys can't see because my camera's covering up. Oh, let me turn my camera off. Stitcher, a level 4 Stitcher is a worse time to kill. However, you only have to hit 17 body shots for the Stitcher at its base level to get the kill. So you can actually miss a couple shots and still get the win. And if you start looking at the Stitcher's headshots, Stitcher has a 0.54 second time to kill on headshots, and the Bobcat has a 0.52 second headshot, which is why a lot of people are like, well, I'll just do the Stitcher. I'll try to surprise my enemy and barrel stuff them and get all headshots, and it pretty much performs the same. Now, if we bump it up to medium, you'll watch the Bobcat now has a 3.29 second time to kill because it needs to include the reload in the time to kill, and it all of a sudden is outperformed by nearly everything. Let me see what's more than 3.29. Osprey and Hairpin and a Pharaoh. There you go. Once you go up to medium shields, you're only getting body shots. Nearly all the other weapons are starting to outperform the Bobcat. And I think this once again comes down to its magazine size and its reload time. The crazy thing is the Stitcher reload time is really quick at level 4 compared to the Bobcat. So I think a bump to its magazine and its reload time would really help out the Bobcat feel like an epic weapon. Right now, camera's back. I want the Bobcat to feel like something you can push with as an SMG. However, when you get into close range combat, there are so many things that outperform you. The shotgun's outperforming you, the Tarento's outperforming you, the Venator's outperforming you, and so it's very hard for it to operate in that space. The Tempest, I actually feel, is much more balanced and is definitely what I prefer over the Bobcat at this stage. It is a bit of an all-rounder. It actually feels like a true assault rifle. It functions pretty good at close quarters, functions pretty good at medium range as well. I quite like the Tempest. I think if they buff the Tempest a little bit more, it's going to be really, really well performing. And I think it performs better right now because it is outside of some of those other, like the range that I use it at is outside of shotgun range, outside of the Toro range, outside of the Tarento range. So you're really then only dealing with like Venators that are still slapping at that kind of like medium range. There you go. There are my thoughts on the Bobcat and the Tempest. I do really hope and want for them to just feel a little bit more special. I want the epic weapons to feel epic. And also, I just think the legendary weapons could use a buff in PvE as well. I feel like they should just start destroying stuff, you know, much quicker. Maybe they don't want to do that. Maybe they don't want to have PvE players like slam through content too quickly and just wipe out queens and matriarchs with ease. But I feel like the legendaries are incredibly underwhelming in PvE as well. Hopefully they get touched too. All right, like and comment, greatly appreciate it. I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.